My house got a room for some rooms with a view. I'm driving real slow like I'm running on fumes. I'm driving real slow like I'm running on fumes.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Who we are? We are hackers, cybersecurity experts, researchers, nerds, and who doesn't like the fast cars? I'm a big fan of motorsport. Really, in my life. GT racing, Formula 1, MotoGP. By the way, can you guess who is my favorite racer by this number? That's absolutely correct. A living legend, Valentino. So yeah, I'm a big fan. But what is fascinating me much more today that we are going to speak about fast cars and cybersecurity. My name is Sergey Loshkin. I'm the head of global research and analysis team, META and APAC region, and I'll be your host for session number 2 that is dedicated to automotive security. But you won't believe me how I get on this stage. And I'm not speaking about the car. I'm talking about the driver. He's there. And it's time to reveal the truth. The person inside the car, he went from PlayStation to podiums. From Gran Turismo video game to real GT professional series racing. The person who did a fascinating way from video games to real racing. And this person came here tonight to speak about real racing, video racing, and adrenaline rush. Please welcome on stage a professional racing driver, Mr. Jann Mardenborough. So, welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Yeah, as I told, I'm a fan of racing, drifting especially. I do drift myself. Nissan Z370. How do you like it? The car?
The Z is a great car. I just started my career with Nissan, so I'm very familiar with the 370Z and raced them as well, but never drifted myself.
Oh, maybe we'll have time to drift together.
I hope so.
Okay, please take your seat. We'll start our session with the panel discussion, but the panel can not be only with one person, right? And as any racing team cannot be without other people. And who a real racing team needs? A manager, a strategist, a person who are driving the digital highways in a cyber-immune cars. Please welcome on stage, Mr. Eugene Kaspersky.
I'm not a manager. I'm driver.
You're a strategist. And finally, any racing team requires a mechanic. Please welcome on stage my good friend and a moderator for this panel session, Mr. Vladimir. Okay guys, my mission here for the beginning of session 2 is over. Please guys, stay on yours.
Alright, welcome. Good morning, Sas. How are you doing? So today, during this panel discussion, we will be talking about a very interesting thing, the motor racing, the cybersecurity and cyber-physical systems.
Automotive cybersecurity is not only a die-hard horror movie topic, right? It already became a real case scenario, right? When, for example, there is a darknet service that unlocks your fancy car, or there is a remote code execution on a vehicle, or even the case when the ransomware gets into the car.
Sounds scary, right? Eugene, so I believe, I bet you know all these cases, all these stories, and many, many more. But how do you feel about it? What do you think about this?
Scary.
Scary. But what do you expect? Why we came to this?
Don't think about it.
That's strange. That's not serious.
Speaking about the possible scenarios, well, the reality is that in the past there were just street thieves, then there were cyber criminals, then professional cyber gangs, then they were hacking the big enterprises, the ransomware, and trying to advertise that there was cyber sabotage. What's next? Then was attacks on Internet of Things, Mirai, the blockment of video cameras. I'm afraid about the future scenarios attacks on transportation systems, not just about cars, it's about the different kind of the moving systems. And it's not about cars, but about medical equipment. I'm afraid it's possible. So, cars, yes. Well, we made the test in the lab, we made the test on the cars. Well,
Sounds scary, but not only about the cars, but also infrastructure. We had a discussion several years ago with one governmental entity from Asian region, and they said that they do have an infrastructure in the major cities. If there is, let's say, a disaster scenario, they need to provide the information and navigation to all the people in the cars, to move away from the disaster. And if that kind of system is interrupted or broken, the disaster can be much worse, right?
or vice versa.
Vice versa, absolutely. Yeah.
Send a message that all the taxis are coming to the same place. It happened already in Moscow.
Yeah. 2 years ago, absolutely.
There was another case that was very funny. A hacker, it was like 15 years ago maybe. So the hacker recognized that it hacked the video system, the screen, and just decided to put a portal material on the screen. And he didn't know there's a big red screen in the highway in Moscow. So the traffic just stopped. It's a true story. The guy was arrested, and he didn't know that he had that big screen in the highway.
From one hand, it's just crazy, but it's also scary. Yeah, a question to you. So, do you have any experience, let's say, with cyber risks in your professional, let's say, motor driving experience?
Well, not that I know of. The one thing that the teams they always take careful attention to is the communication. So in motorsports we have now it's digital communication between the pits and the car driving around. In the past it used to be analog, so the radio frequencies, whereas now that was easy to listen to somebody else's channel to understand their strategy, whereas now it's digital, and I still think that can be what teams say still can be hacked and listened to figure out people's strategies. In terms of other things being that I haven't noticed anything else, but we have in the race car, for example, live telemetry. So the car I'm driving around on the circuit, I have on my inside my car, I can see tire pressures, I can see if my engine has oil pressure, I can see the fuel level, and that is communicated live to the pit so they can see the same stuff as us. So, for example, if there was a glitch and somebody managed to hack into our software or team software and say that we have a slow puncture in one particular tire, the team will immediately tell me, I can see it myself on the screen, so I'll probably pit. But I haven't experienced it, I don't know if I have or not. Because it's in motorsport, it's not in my level of motorsport, in endurance racing, sports cars, like Le Mans, we're not yet really talking about this a lot.
the time has come.
Well, no, next year I can say for next season to my team, okay, we have all these threats.
Absolutely. But from your personal point of view, what is the worst case scenario you can imagine while you're driving? Not only, spoofing the telemetry or something like that, but the worst case.
So the race cars we have, there is a physical connection. There is a physical connection with the steering to the wheel, but it's through an electric motor. There are some race cars that have still a hydraulic powered steering rack. But the car this year I used was an electric motor steering, and also the brake is a physical connection, there's nothing electronic there, but the throttle is a fly-by-wire system, so the worst situation I can imagine is having my throttle stuck wide open when I'm not on the throttle and suddenly not being able to steer, or the steering is inverted. That would be a disaster.
Yeah, right. Do you believe in...
No, I disagree.
Why?
The worst case scenario is when you're in the middle of Siberia and your car gets a wrong update from the internet. Done. I'm not kidding, it happened once.
Oh, that's crazy.
James, do you remember?
Well, thanks God that we're all made here after that. We live in absolutely crazy, fabulous, and sometimes scary cyber-physical times. And I think that some of the components that are treated right now, not only cyber or physical, it's a combination, it's synergy, right? And the stakes are damn high, I believe, Jann. So, what is your feeling and what are your thoughts? Should we continue moving forward in this crazy world and in combining cyber and physical systems and creating new ones? Or maybe we should just stop doing that? Because it gets so scary and dangerous. Eugene, what do you think? Please, yeah.
Well, my knowledge on this is massive, but you can't really put, once you've opened Pandora's box, you can't put something in, you can't close it again. So it's best to understand the system as best we can, and technology is always going to evolve and progress faster and faster, and you're always going to get a threat. So you cannot stop it. Personally, I drive old cars because I like them, and they don't have a million like six, but also now I'm talking to Eugene, it seems to be the ones that are least happy. So, nothing new from me.
99% agree. If it's invented, we will use it. If we like it, we will use it. The security, well, if there are some security scenarios, please allow this. So, do you know any ever big enough invention which was discontinued? Do you know, once again, the question to the audience, do you know any of big enough invention, technologies, systems, which discontinued because of security reasons? I know one. Zeppelins. But it's not really about security, it's because the airplanes replaced them. That's it. So I had this question to myself for years, and I know just one answer: Zeppelins. Nothing else. Are the cars dangerous? Yes, of course. But still they use it, still we drive it.
And we protect it.
We have it and we protect it.
Yeah, today there will be several discussions and several presentations about automotive cybersecurity, so please stay till this talks. Modern car racing is not about engines and oil and gasoline and brakes, as you said, right? It's a bunch. It's a number of computers, systems, cyber-physical systems. I know that, for example, F1, Formula 1, they do have, let's say, do not touch policy for all the computers, let's say 1 or 2 weeks before the race. They do not allow to do any software changes in the computers because they're scary of the telemetry losses. They need to have real-time data. And sometimes, my initial feeling is that these computers are much more important than the race itself. So what is your experience in this regard? Can you share some details how your cyber preparations are doing before the race?
Well, personally myself, there's nothing like a difference to prepare for a race in terms of cybersecurity. You know, my phone is, I have password managers and blah, 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 but the team itself, they're heavily reliant on data, they're heavily reliant on the laptops, the car, to set up the car. We call it putting the car on the patch. So before a test session or a race or qualifying, they'll put the car on this device that measures the parameters of the car, so how much it weighs, how much camera angle the car has, how much weight the car has, to make sure the car is set up perfectly for setup. But this is all digitalized, so if you could, I don't know, somehow manage to spoof some data and the car, then the next day I drive the car physically, the engineers think the car is set up correctly, but there's something missed in the data. I can drive the car down the straight and not be able to drive straight because the steering is messed up. It's heavily, we rely heavily on computers, whereas maybe in less, it seems the teams that have less budgets, less money, they can, not knowledge, but in terms of the equipment is expensive to buy. With computers, everything is digitalized, but you can have some race teams still to this day, they set up their car with fishing line, with string. To make sure the angle of the wheels have certain camber, you can still do it with string and a notepad and calculation with a calculator, so it still can be done, but the level now is so high that you have to have computers to set up everything. I know the engineers, the moment they leave their desk to go to the toilet or just leave their desk, they always lock their computer. They have the computer, like the keyboard, locked to their physically to the table, because there's been thefts in the past among the team, people stealing laptops for data. It's, but in terms of other information, I don't know, I'm not really privy to it, so I just get in the car and I drive and do the best I can. But it's security, and cybersecurity you can affect somebody's race and progression massively.
So you don't drive a car, you drive a computer.
Well, I've done both. I've done the real car is basically a big computer, but you just have to be real life. But also I've done sim racing as well too. And this is with cybersecurity, this can be massive because the competition that I won to become a driver was based online, and this was 14, 15 years ago. But there was no conversation had if somebody could, I don't know, hack Sony's software, so you could put in a fake time on the leaderboard to qualify. Whereas these questions are being asked now with online competitions because e-racing, sim racing is getting very, very large. There's a lot of prize money involved, and there's always these kinds of threats.
So I would just say you are driving the distributed computer system. Yeah.
I will say this to my team, I'm not a driver, I'm driving a distributed computer system.
That is absolutely true. Let's talk about dirty tweaks.
There are some dirty tricks in cybersecurity, and I would say dirty moves. There was one scenario, one story several years ago when there was a neurosurgery process, and during the surgery process, the computers were encrypted with ransomware. Thanks God that doctors remembered all the needed details, and they finished the surgery, and the person was alive, still alive. But I believe that in the cyber-physical world right now, and we are moving towards that cyber-physical future, the dirty tricks and dirty tricks can become way worse. What do you think, Jann?
Of course, I mean, just to relate it back to, say, motorsport, nobody really questions when you do qualify, for example. It's all, of course, you have the decimal points and then three zeros after the decimal points. Nobody questions, okay, that lap time is exactly what they say it is. So, I don't know, if you manage to hack the timing system and have your car do a slower time than what's represented, and you can kind of change a grid order, or your driver, you can make it look slower than what they actually are. These are all things that I'm now thinking of in my sport. But there's, I guess there's a lot, it's limitless.
It just reminds me of a very old story. Back from 1994, the internet was just invented. There were no mobile phones. There were no online banking. There were no social media. So there was computer virus, and in those times computer virus was spreading on floppy disks. Do you remember floppy disks? How many people still remember what that? So there was a computer virus which, when the document was printed, it's randomly changed the numbers, the digits in the numbers. So it was in the Netherlands in 1994. The virus changed the digits in the hospital, and so there was a percent which on the paper had to get the lethal amount of morphine. And the doctor recognized something wrong in the numbers because it's lethal and stopped it. So that was it's the first story of that was a random attack on medical equipment. It happened in 1994, around 30 years ago.
That's scary again.
But just to look at it.
Absolutely. But usually, what do you expect in terms of the attack and threats development for cyber physical systems? You are absolutely genius in the looking forward into the future and predicting multiple different things. So, what should we expect in terms of the threats and maybe malware for cyber physical systems?
First of all, we need to think about motivation of the bad guys. What do they want? First of all, they want money, they want information, and want to destroy you. So these three motivations, and based on that, we can design the different scenarios of the attacks. So we have attacks on computer systems, on mobile systems, the Internet of Things. Yes, it's happening. Next, as I said already, I'm afraid about attacks on transportation. And not just on the system which manage the transportation, but the device, this device as well. Not just cars, but the cargo tracks, maybe trains, ships. What else? I don't mention planes because all way of long travel. No planes, but helicopters.
Yeah, I really hope the helicopters are still not digitalized, but
Yes, everything is digital.
even helicopters. Oh, wow, that's scary. And Jann, what about motor racing? Yesterday we were discussing during the preparations. You said that okay, so there are several scenarios while you are driving. Let's say if the data is smooth in the car, for example, if I remember, the oil level or the pressure, tire pressure, right? Like even if it's changed like 10% or 15%, you will have to move to the, let's say, box or whatever is the test, right? And you will lose the time, the precious time, right?
Yes, it's something which there's certain things when we're driving where we immediately have to either stop or to return to the pits. So a tire pressure normally, because these sensors are inside the car, inside the tire rim, they take a lot. There's a lot of temperatures changes, so sometimes they fail anyway. Sometimes it reads 0, so we ignore them. It's quite obvious. But if it's like a value where it's kind of a slow puncture, it'd be quite hard to ignore. One other thing is oil pressure. If that light comes on, you immediately turn the engine off to preserve the engine. So if you manage to give this to your rival, it's a really mess up somebody else's race. It's something which as a driver I never think about ever in terms of cybersecurity in racing, in motorsport. In my personal life, yes, my privacy, my own security, my own family security, my own future family security. I always think about this, but never in my sport. So it's very interesting for me to come to such an event and listen from Eugene and everybody here in the conference to prepare myself and ask questions in my own sport as well, see what is done. Like last week, as drivers, we have like an online database with all our personal credentials, our passport, driver's license, sensitive information, our address. And last week this got hacked. It went on Twitter. Max Verstappen, who's the current champion, passport was online. I don't know the technical term, like he was a hacker that wanted to show there was a vulnerability, but my data was on there, somebody wanted to release it. Every racing driver on Earth, his data, location, passport was on there. So even in motorsport now, it's starting to be a threat.
Absolutely. Talking about this, so you said that you didn't think till this moment about cybersecurity while you're driving. There are several people in this room, like Sergey, for example, sitting over there. He will be delivering the talk today. And let me tell you a story that our team and in our company, we did vulnerability research and we were looking for threats and vulnerabilities for modern vehicles. There are attack vectors. And there is like this scenario that while driving you can stop the car or stop the wheel, and it is scary, absolutely.
The scary is the car is stopped. They run.
Or if you stop all the cars produced by one brand in the whole city, can you imagine that? It would be like a total disaster, right? So, Jann, what are your expectations for upcoming times? I really hope that this conference for you will be some, eye-opening theme in terms of the cybersecurity for vehicles, for cars. What are your expectations? So, we already have in OT, industrial enterprises, we have crane as a service. When an operator of the crane is sitting somewhere, let's say in Germany, and the crane is located somewhere in Japan, for example. So the operator has the screen, the controller, listen to music, and does it, and the crane is lifting, I don't know, 20 tons or something like that. What to expect in the future? What do you think?
Well, in motorsports, everything's more digital, so with sim racing, online even, there is competitions now where somebody can be sat at home on their simulator, on a racing software, and controlling a real-life size car in another location, another part of the world. This is type of, online RC racing, but not really, because it's a real physical car. This is becoming, motorsports becoming more digital, so I expect that trend to follow. Physical stuff, we do less physical testing now, because it's expensive to rent out the track and the car and physical items break and need to be repaired, whereas, of course, to run a simulator or run things digitally is a lot cheaper, things break less, but the threats to be compromised security-wise is of course, is a door for entry there.
Usually, we all know that the hacker as a service and malware as a service has been on the darknet markets for ages already. But what should we expect in terms of the expectations for upcoming times? Maybe something new as a service or attacks using the artificial intelligence, stuff like that.
What we need to expect, like when you go to the service, the technician asks so many questions about cyber.
That's a good point.
But once again, the cars are getting less and less cars. It's more and more computer. So that's well, there is a story. And there was the automotive service, the company which is the service company and the cars. They reported that there was an update on one of the Chinese cars, and the update was infected with an Android malware. There was a big conference. It was a talk about this. So I'm afraid about what's happening. And actually, I predicted that. Some long years ago, maybe that was 1998, I made we do the press release. The company, so we have a lot of the media activities. And it was an April 1st job. In my April 1st job, it was about the cars virus, which infects cars. It was a job. I'm afraid it didn't become true. And I said, okay, so the car can be infected because the car has computer. I said, yes, you can have onboard computers. It's true story. It was a joke, April 1st joke, long years ago. And I said, the car can be infected in a service, but cannot be infected on the petrol station, cannot be infected when you open the car, you close the car, but on the service, yes, it can be. So now all the cars, the modern cars, they're connected, they're online, they take updates. Some people just apply the updates themselves. So this is one of the serious risks, because the cars are online. Anybody in the room had the wrong update on the car? I know the man, goodness. He got an update on his car, and the car started to go from the metric system to the imperial. Yeah.
We don't know what else was wrong with the update, right?
I know two stories about the wrong updates. One is from Dennis, his car got switched from the metric system to the imperial. And the second story, this was in Siberia, as I said. So the car was, when it's minus 50 Celsius, you need to, there's updated degraded car, so you need to remove some parts from the car because they don't work pleasure in such a climate. But the computer stays computer. And if you take a key, it's literally the car is broken. So don't press yes, never. And the person it was just a mistake, press yes. And the car got updated and it was cyber broken.
That's crazy. What about, let's say, driverless racing? Should we expect that?
Yes.
Yeah, it's already happening.
It's already.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, there's, I know one place in Abu Dhabi where the government is pushing this driverless racing. It's called, the car was called Super Formula. They're the fastest cars outside of Formula 1, and they have these schools from all over the world come and compete, create their own code to race, head to head. I got involved because I don't believe that an AI can drive faster than me, because I'm arrogant and I have an ego. But step by step, I think it's coming. I don't know if there's an audience for that, really. I think it's a bit more interesting if somebody's physically controlling the car, virtually controlling the car from another location in the world, but there seems to be another path where they want to do AI racing or physical cars.
I believe that it's the future of motorsport, and not just motorsport. In motorsport, I believe the future is autonomous cars, they are racing, and at the pit stop, the engineers and professional pilots, they adjust the algorithms. So the cars runs the algorithms during the run. Then at the pit stop, you refuel the car, recharge the car, and at the same time, you can adjust the algorithm. So you're watching the car, you're watching your competitors, and engineers, software engineers and professional pilots, they optimize the algorithms, but only on the pit stop, not online. Same with many other sport games like chess. So, when you think about the next move, your competitor, the other side, improves the algorithms. Mathematicians, software engineers, and professional chess players. So there's like a physical cyber systems against each other. And I believe it will be even more interesting than we have at the moment.
Yeah, it sounds really promising actually. The artificial intelligence racing the cars and a human.
Yeah, it must be man.
Yeah, gentlemen, that was amazing. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I had a question about what's most important in the motor race. I have an answer. It's one of the first questions. The most important in motor race lots of pilots. Once I was in a motor race myself. It was not it was 24 hours motor race. Adrian 24 in Italy, and there were dozens of the teams, and we were driving Fiat 500. Fiat 500 is a small car. It was sponsored by Fiat, so it was a dozen of the team. So it was 24 hours race. So there were several pilots, and we changed the pilots. So someone was sitting, other racing. Then we changed that, and the team I was in got the first place. Secret is written. One of us, his name is Jann Mardenborough. Formula 1. So, the most important is still human. In motorsport, the most important is still pilot.
I agree.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.